And any of the accessories I'll be showing you can be ordered by calling the toll-free number on your screen or visiting our website at www.foodsaver.com. During this video, you'll see how the FoodSaver removes the air that's the major cause of food spoilage, so your foods will stay fresh and without freezer burn 3 to 5 times longer. And with the FoodSaver, you'll not only save your food, but you'll save time and money. And always remember that vacuum packaging is not a substitute for refrigeration. Perishable foods, or those that say refrigerate after opening, will still need to be refrigerated after they've been vacuum packaged. But they'll stay fresh tasting 3 to 5 times longer than if you hadn't vacuum packaged them. Now, let's take a look at some of the features of your FoodSaver. Before we get started, I have a couple of important suggestions. First, I recommend that you read your FoodSaver user manual. You'll find that it has lots of practical information, and it's particularly important that you read the section about food preparation and storage so you'll know how to safely handle and store your foods. Your FoodSaver also comes with a handy quick start guide. Now, throughout this demonstration, I'll have the FoodSaver Vac 750 facing away from me. That makes it easier for you to see how it works. But when you do this at home, you'll want to have the FoodSaver Vac 750 facing towards you. I'd like to start by pointing out some of the important features of the Vac 750. Underneath the FoodSaver, you'll find a handy storage compartment for the electrical cord. By the way, it's never a good idea to use an extension cord with your FoodSaver because it may diminish its power. This is the lid of the FoodSaver. The lid needs to be in the locked position when you're vacuum packaging. There are 2 locks, one on each side of the FoodSaver. To lock the lid, you need to press down on the lid while you push in the bottom of the locks. It's just the bottom of the locks that you press in. See how I'm doing it? The lid will unlock automatically during the vacuum process, but if you ever mistakenly lock the lid, to unlock it, all you do is press down on the corners of the lid and the locks will release. Under the lid, you'll see the sealing strip. It's a strip of Teflon that runs across the FoodSaver. The sealing strip heats up and seals the FoodSaver bags. It's important to give the sealing strip time to cool down after each use. So after using your FoodSaver, always wait 20 seconds for it to cool down before using it again. This is the vacuum channel. It's a trough surrounded by a rubber gasket. When you want to remove the air from a FoodSaver bag, you need to put the open end of the bag down into this vacuum channel. This is the on button. You'll press and hold it down while the FoodSaver is vacuum packaging. You'll release it when vacuum packaging is complete. This is the manual seal button. It's used only with the FoodSaver bags when you want to interrupt the vacuum process and start sealing a bag before all the air has been removed. This is the on light. It comes on when you press the on button. This is the vacuum light. It comes on when a complete vacuum has been reached. This is the seal light. It indicates that the machine is sealing. This is the vacuum hose port. You won't use it when you're vacuum packaging FoodSaver bags, but I'll be showing you how to use it when you're vacuum packaging other FoodSaver accessories. The most common accessories you'll use with your FoodSaver are the specially designed FoodSaver bags. These are not like any other bag on the market. These bags have patented air channels that remove the air quickly. Plus, the bags are 3-ply with a reinforced outer nylon layer to make sure that once the air is removed, it stays out. Now, FoodSaver bags come in 2 sizes, quart size and gallon size. I'm going to use a quart size bag and a block of cheese to demonstrate how to vacuum package in a FoodSaver bag. It's important that the food fits into the bag with about 3 inches to spare so that there's enough room to vacuum and seal the bag. Here's how easy it is to do. Lift up the FoodSaver's lid, and you want to lay the edge of the bag into the vacuum channel. Just curve it down into the channel. Make sure that there are no wrinkles along the sealing strip. That way you'll get a good vacuum and seal. Now it doesn't matter which side of the bag is up. So if the bag fits down into the vacuum channel this way, then leave it that way. Either side is okay. Lower the lid, and now to be able to vacuum pack the bag, we have to lock the lid. Remember how to do that? All you do is press down and at the same time push in the bottom of the locks. That locks the lid. To turn the machine on, press the on button and hold it down. Watch. It pulls out the air, it tells you that it's sealing, and once it's sealed, it shuts off automatically. That fast, we have vacuum packed the cheese. Now remember that your bags are reusable. You can use them over and over again. So the next time you want some cheese, don't cut the bag down here. Cut it right below the seal that you made. That way, you're only using 1 inch of the bag material at a time. Take out the cheese, use whatever you like, and then re-vacuum pack it. In addition to the ready-made FoodSaver bags, you can also make your own custom-sized bags using rolls of FoodSaver bag material. Now these rolls come in 2 widths, 8 inches wide or 11 inches wide. Now to make a bag, all you need to do is to cut the roll to the desired length and seal one of the open ends. Let me show you how to do it. I'll be demonstrating with a large block of cheese I bought from a warehouse club store. Now all you have to do is take one of the rolls. I'm going to use the 11-inch wide roll because the cheese is so big. And then all you do is just roll it out next to what you want to vacuum pack. Now you can make the bag exactly the right size for whatever you're going to put in it. But always add at least 3 inches for vacuum and sealing, or an additional inch for each time you think you're going to open the bag. Now I'm going to open the bag 2 or 3, 4 times, so I'm going to cut it right about here. Now on the rolls of bags, we have indicator marks that help you cut the bag straight so that you can seal it. See them right here? All you do is take your scissors, cut, and then go straight across the bag to the other side, using the indicators on the other side to get a straight cut. Now all we have to do is to seal one end of the bag, because you can see we've got 2 open ends on the bag. So to seal one end of the bag, it's easy. All we have to do is raise the lid, place the edge of the bag on the sealing strip. Now don't lay it into the vacuum channel. It won't work. Or don't let the bag on the rubber gasket. It won't work there either. So just make sure that you put the edge of the bag right on the sealing strip, right up next to the rubber gasket. Close the lid, press down, and lock. Turn it on. It'll automatically seal the bag. When it's done sealing, it shuts off automatically. Take a look. That's a perfect seal. You now have a customized bag. Now, if you didn't cut the bag straight enough across the top, your seal won't look like this. So just take your scissors and trim it until it's straight across. Now, all we have to do is take the block of cheese, place it inside our FoodSaver custom-sized bag, and vacuum out the air. To vacuum out the air, take the open edge of the bag and lay it inside the vacuum channel. If it curls up, just turn the bag over, because you can vacuum any side up. Make sure that there are no wrinkles along the sealing strip. You see how I have this curved down into the vacuum channel? Close the lid, press down, push in the locks. To activate the machine, just press the on button and hold it down. That starts the pump, which pulls the air out of the bag. When the air is all pulled out, it'll activate the sealing strip that seals the end of the bag. When it's done, it shuts off automatically. That fast, we vacuum pack the cheese. Now remember, to get back into the bag, it's easy to do. Just cut right below that seal. Remember, you can use your bag over and over and over again, so don't waste any of it. That's the only part you should throw away. Take out the cheese, use whatever you like, and then re-vacuum pack it. A handy feature of the FoodSaver Back 750 is the manual seal button. You see, if you press this button while the air is being removed from a FoodSaver bag, the vacuum process will stop and the sealing process will start. So this is a handy button to use if you're vacuum packaging items such as bread and baked goods that you don't want to get crushed. When the Back 750 has removed as much air as you want, press the manual seal button. The vacuum pump will stop and the sealing process will start. Let me show you how to do this. I'll demonstrate using this bundt cake on a plate that I'm going to put inside a gallon FoodSaver bag. Open the lid, lay the edge of the bag inside the vacuum channel. Make sure that you don't have any wrinkles going across the sealing strip. Lower the lid, press down, push in the locks. Now turn on the machine using the on button and hold it down, watching the air as it's taken out of the bag. When you think enough air has been removed from the bag, simply press and hold down the manual seal button. It stops the vacuuming process and it starts the sealing process. That fast, we've sealed the bag. Now you may need to practice a few times to know exactly when to press the manual seal button. And I don't recommend that you do this with very delicate items. It's much better to vacuum package them in a FoodSaver canister. That way you'll be able to remove more air. And the more air you remove, the longer your foods will last. And what if you don't want to remove any of the air at all? You just want to seal a bag. Well, your FoodSaver can do that too. Of course, you won't be removing the air, so you won't get any of the benefits of vacuum storage, but maybe you just want to seal a bag of potato chips you plan to finish eating tomorrow. You may want to seal an item in a FoodSaver bag to prevent it from leaking in your luggage while traveling. Here's what you do to seal a bag without removing the air. Essentially, you'll be doing the same thing you just did when you made a custom-sized bag. I'll demonstrate this with a bag of potato chips. Open the lid, lay the edge of the potato chip bag on the sealing strip. Do not lay it into the vacuum channel or on the rubber gasket. It won't work. You can see that it's butted up right next to the rubber gasket. Close the lid, press down, push in the locks. Then just press the on button and hold it down. It automatically seals the bag and shuts off. You can only do this with FoodSaver bags or with strong Mylar type bags like this potato chip bag. Other bags may melt or burn with the heat from the sealing strip. I'd like to share a couple of tips with you about FoodSaver bags and rolls. Once you've made a bag, it's always a good idea to check the seal. This is what a good seal looks like. It's smooth and even all the way across. As you can see, there's no wrinkles or creases in that seal, and that means that it's going to hold the vacuum. If you ever notice that your seal looks like this with a wrinkle in it, it means your bag wasn't lying smoothly over the sealing strip. This small wrinkle will eventually allow air to re-enter. If this happens, it's easy to fix. Simply cut the bag below the seal and re-vacuum package the bag. If you find it difficult to get the bag to lie smoothly over the sealing strip, you may not be leaving enough room between your food item and the end of the bag. Make sure there's at least 3 inches of space at the end of the bag. You should also make sure that the inside of your bag near the seal is free from grease and water. You can see the grease that got on the bag when I put the cheese inside. You see, grease and water will prevent the bag from sealing correctly. So it's a good idea to wipe the inside of the bag with a paper towel. You want to remove the grease, oil, or water, or any particles that can be where you're going to make a seal. And before you start vacuum packaging. Here's another tip. If you're vacuum packaging meats or fish that have a lot of liquid in them, fold a paper towel and place it between the food and where you're going to make the seal. You see, this will absorb the moisture and prevent liquids from being sucked into the vacuum pump. Let me show you what I mean. Now I've got a couple of steaks here that I want to be able to vacuum pack, so I've placed my paper towel far enough into the bag so that it's not going to interfere with the sealing strip or with the vacuum channel. I just place the edge of the bag in the vacuum channel and I can now vacuum and seal. Here's the secret to vacuum packaging liquids. You can't vacuum package liquids in FoodSaver bags and rolls because the liquid could get sucked into the vacuum pump. But you can freeze the liquids first, then vacuum package them. For example, you can freeze soups and stews in a plastic container or loaf pan so they freeze into a block. Then remove the frozen block from the container and vacuum package it in a FoodSaver bag. Next time you're too busy to cook, just drop the frozen block into a pot of boiling water to heat, and you'll have hot, fresh-tasting homemade soup or stew in no time. You can also freeze liquids in ice cube trays, then transfer the frozen cubes to a FoodSaver bag, vacuum package, and store the bag in your freezer. This is a great way to make ice packs for your cooler or to store small servings of homemade broth for making soups, gravies, and sauces. And if you'll be vacuum packaging any items that have sharp edges that could puncture the FoodSaver bags, like this silverware, wrap the items in a cushioning material like a folded paper towel before vacuum packaging them. Now just vacuum and seal. And here's a tip for soft fruits and berries that are easily crushable. Spread them out on a baking sheet. You can slice them first if you want, and then freeze them for about 1 to 2 hours till they're just hard. Then vacuum package them and store them in the freezer. That way they won't get crushed in the bag, and they won't all clump together when frozen. So later on you can open up the FoodSaver bag, take out just the amount of fruit you need, maybe just enough for a fruit pie or a fruit salad or a frozen fruit drink, and then re-vacuum package what's left in the bag for another day. And when you're vacuum packaging vegetables, they should always be blanched first in boiling water or in the microwave and then stored in the freezer. Look at the great color of these vegetables. That's because they were blanched. You'll find instructions on blanching in the food preparation section of your user manual. You see, blanching is important whenever you're freezing fresh vegetables because it stops the enzyme action that causes vegetables to lose their flavor, color, and texture. And if you want to vacuum package vegetables that are easily crushable, you can pre-freeze them the same way you do for soft fruits. But make sure you blanch them first before you freeze them on a baking sheet. That way you'll be able to store the vegetables in meal-sized portions that will be fresh tasting even when they're out of season. And when you're ready to thaw your frozen food, your frozen fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, poultry, or any other frozen vacuum packaged foods, always thaw them in the refrigerator. Remember that FoodSaver bags can be washed and reused as long as you haven't previously used them to store raw meat, fish, or poultry, used them to store greasy foods, or boiled food in the bags. Now let's take a look at other FoodSaver vacuum accessories. You should have received a vacuum hose with your FoodSaver. This will allow you to use some of the great FoodSaver vacuum accessories. I'm going to show you some accessories that I'm sure you're going to love. The FoodSaver vacuum canisters. These canisters come in 3 styles: designer canisters, bulk storage canisters, and the square canister. They're all specially designed to be strong enough for vacuum packaging. Now you'll probably use the FoodSaver bags mostly for foods you store in the freezer, but you'll find the FoodSaver vacuum canisters really handy for storing foods in the refrigerator or pantry, or even on your kitchen countertop. And of course they're perfect for those delicate items that could be crushed if they were vacuum packaged in a FoodSaver bag. They're things like strawberries or even chips and crackers. And because you're removing the air from the canisters, you can use them to keep dry foods dry and crunchy, or to keep moist foods moist. First, I'll show you how to use the FoodSaver designer canisters. These canisters are sold in sets. There's a 2-piece set, and there's also a 3-piece set. The designer canisters look attractive on your countertop, so you can use them to store baking supplies or dry goods. And they're great for storing delicate items like strawberries or lettuce in the refrigerator. I'll demonstrate how to use them by vacuum packing these fresh strawberries. Now, the first thing to remember is that no matter how you fill the canister, always leave an inch at the top. So whether you're doing something like strawberries or a stew, make sure you still leave about 1 inch at the top. Also make sure that you wipe any residue from the rim. You don't want anything on the rim. That way you'll get a good vacuum and seal. Also make sure that the inside rubber gasket of the lid is clean. Then just place the lid on top of the canister. Now all we have to do is attach the vacuum hose. Take one end of the vacuum hose and put it right here in the vacuum port on your machine. Just press down and turn it so it fits snugly. Take the other end of the hose, put it right here in the hole on top of the canister lid. Press down, turn it a little bit so it fits snugly. Now we're ready to vacuum out the air from the canister. But to do that, first you have to lock the FoodSaver lid. To do that, press down on the lid and push in the bottom of the locks. Now to turn the machine on, press the on button and hold it. And it will pump the air out of the canister. You'll hear the locks release. As soon as all the air is pumped out, the machine will shut off automatically. Remove the hose from the canister and from your FoodSaver, especially if you're going to vacuum pack FoodSaver bags next. You want to test to make sure that you've got a vacuum. That's vacuum packed. Now you can store this in the refrigerator because it's perishable, remember. If it's something like dry goods, you can store these in the pantry. To open up the canister, just press the gray rubber button on the top of the lid. You'll hear the vacuum release. That allows you to open up the lid. Now your designer canisters can be stored in the refrigerator, in the pantry, or on your countertop. The bases can be washed in the dishwasher, but the tops should always be hand washed. Don't immerse them in water, just wipe them with a clean, damp cloth. The FoodSaver bulk storage canisters come in 4 sizes that are perfect for storing large quantities of food. They're great for storing all those foods that are cheaper to buy in bulk, but that go stale quickly. You know, things like cereals and cookies, crackers, chips, and pretzels. So they're great for people who live in areas with high humidity, too. Because of their size, you'll probably want to use the bulk storage canisters for your dry goods that you store in the pantry. But they can also be used to store perishable items in the refrigerator. I'll demonstrate how to use the bulk storage canisters by vacuum packaging these cookies. The first thing to remember when you're vacuum packing in the canisters is to always fill it up to within 1 inch of the top. So whether it's going to be cookies or a stew that you're going to put in the refrigerator, always leave an inch at the top of the canister. The next thing to be sure of is to clean the rim to make sure there's no residue, like cookie crumbs or any liquid on it. That way you'll get a perfect seal. Also make sure that the rubber gasket is clean and dry so that you also get a good seal. Put the lid on the canister, and as you can see here on the white knob, there's a gray arrow. I have it pointing to the word vacuum and that arrow right below it. That's because we're going to vacuum out the air of the canister. So when you start to vacuum out the canister, make sure that that arrow is pointed to the word vacuum. Now just attach the vacuum hose to your FoodSaver. Take one end of the hose, put it into the vacuum port, press down and turn so that it fits snugly. Take the other end, put it into the hole on top of the knob, press down and turn so that fits snugly. Now remember, to vacuum pack out the air of the canister, you have to lock the FoodSaver lid, just as if you were going to vacuum pack a bag. Press down on the lid, push in the bottom of the locks. To turn the machine on, just press the on button and hold it. The machine starts pumping the air out of the canister. You don't have to worry whether it pumps all the air out or not, because once the air is out, the machine will shut off automatically. Remove the hose from the canister lid and the FoodSaver, especially if you're going to do FoodSaver bags next. Now to finish the process of sealing the lid, turn the arrow from the word vacuum to the word closed. That's vacuum packed. To open the FoodSaver bulk storage canisters, turn the knob from the word closed, past the word vacuum, to the word open. Listen. You you hear the release of the vacuum. That lets you remove the lid. Bulk storage canisters can be stored in the pantry or in the refrigerator. The bases can be washed in the dishwasher, but the tops should always be hand washed. Don't immerse them in water, just wipe with a clean, damp cloth. The square canister is specially designed to be the right size for marinating. Although you can marinate in any FoodSaver canister, the square canister, because of its shape, needs less marinade. See, with the FoodSaver, the good thing is that you don't have to remember to marinate everything the night before. The vacuum action allows the pores of the food, your meat, fish, or poultry, to open up, and it lets the marinade in. So instead of having to marinate overnight, you can marinate in 20 minutes. I'll demonstrate how to use the square canister by marinating these pork chops in a teriyaki marinade. The first thing you want to remember about filling a canister is to always leave at least 1 inch of room at the top. Whether it's a marinade or you're filling it with a casserole or some soup or stew, always leave at least 1 inch at the top. The next thing is to make sure that the rim is perfectly clean and dry. You wouldn't want to try to vacuum and seal this if there was some marinade on here because it wouldn't hold. Next, check the lid. Make sure that the rubber gasket is also clean and dry. Then just place the lid on top of the canister. Now take a look at the knob. You see the gray arrow? It's pointing to the word vacuum. See the arrow right underneath the word vacuum? When you're ready to vacuum the first time to remove the air, make sure that this arrow is pointing to the word vacuum because we're going to vacuum out the air. Next, all you have to do is just attach the vacuum hose. Take one end of the hose and put it into the vacuum port, press down and turn so it fits snugly. Take the other end, put it into the top of the knob, and press down and turn so that fits snugly. Now before you can vacuum out the air from the canister, you have to lock the FoodSaver lid, just the same as if you were going to do a FoodSaver bag. So press down on the lid with your thumbs and push in the bottom of the locks. You've locked the FoodSaver lid. To turn it on, press the on button and hold it. The FoodSaver will automatically begin to pump out the air. As soon as you'll hear the locks release, and as soon as all the air is out, it shuts off automatically. Remove the hose, also from the FoodSaver, especially if you're going to do FoodSaver bags next. Now to finish the sealing process, turn the arrow from the word vacuum to the word closed. That's vacuum packed. You store this now in your refrigerator for about 20 minutes to marinate. To open up the canister, turn the arrow from the word closed past the word vacuum to the word open. Listen. Releases the vacuum and it allows you to remove the lid. Now the square canister can be stored in the pantry if you're going to store some dry rice or dried beans, or in the refrigerator if you're going to put in a casserole, a soup, or a stew. The base of the square canister, but not the lid, can be placed in the microwave for reheating foods, but never use the base to cook foods. The base can be washed in the dishwasher, but the top should always be hand washed. Don't immerse the top in water. Just wipe it with a clean, damp cloth. Here are some good tips for using the FoodSaver vacuum canisters. When you're vacuum packaging powdery foods like flour or even coffee grounds, cut a piece of paper towel the size of the canister and place it on top of the food before vacuum packaging it. This will prevent the powder granules from being sucked into the vacuum hose. You can even vacuum package foods like soups, stews, and homemade sauces in the FoodSaver vacuum canisters. Store them in the refrigerator where that smells great and they'll taste fresh longer. Just remember that you shouldn't vacuum the liquids when they're still hot because they could bubble over. Let them cool in the refrigerator first before vacuum packaging. And remember, whenever you're vacuum packaging in a canister, you need to leave at least 1 inch of space at the top of the canister. Here's another great accessory, FoodSaver vacuum bottle stoppers. They allow you to vacuum package liquids in their original bottles And they're great for things like expensive oils that go rancid very quickly, usually before you've even used half the bottle. Or you can use them to vacuum package wine. Do you ever open a bottle of wine, then store the other half for later? Well, now you can vacuum package it and you won't lose any of the taste or the wonderful bouquet. Let me show you how the vacuum bottle stoppers work. The first thing to do is to make sure that the top of the bottle and the neck is dry. Take the bottle stopper and place it down into the neck. Make sure it fits snugly. If it's loose, you might lose vacuum. Next, take the vacuum hose and attach it to the machine right here at the vacuum port. Press down and in so it fits snugly. The same with the bottle stopper. Press down and in. Now, to vacuum out the air of the bottle, we have to lock the FoodSaver lid the same way you would lock it if you were doing a FoodSaver bag. So press down and push in the locks. Turn the machine on, press the on button, and hold it. The FoodSaver pulls the air out of the bottle and then shuts off automatically. Remove the hose and also from the FoodSaver, especially if you're going to do FoodSaver bags next. Now you can store the wine in your refrigerator or pantry for up to about 2 weeks. It'll stay fresh. To remove the FoodSaver bottle stopper, simply twist and pull up on the bottle stopper to release the vacuum. Listen. Vacuum packed. You won't want to use the vacuum bottle stoppers with carbonated or sparkling beverages. You see, the FoodSaver will remove the air, and that's what gives them their fizz. They'll become flat. And don't use the FoodSaver bottle stoppers with plastic bottles. They're not strong enough for vacuum packaging. To clean the vacuum bottle stoppers, just hand wash them. Here's a handy accessory that will let you vacuum package foods in their original jars. FoodSaver Universal Lids. They're great for retaining the freshness of foods in their original containers, like pasta sauce or chocolate sauce or even a jar of nuts. In fact, anything in a jar that needs to be refrigerated after opening. They come in 2 sizes, a 5.5-inch diameter and a 4-inch diameter. Now, why are they called universal lids? Because they're designed to fit a variety of different size jars and cans. You can use them on any strong glass jar that has an opening smaller than the size of the universal lid. In fact, they can even be used on coffee cans, because coffee cans are strong enough to withstand the force of a vacuum. So how do they work? Well, foods sold in jars and cans have had all the air removed, so they'll stay fresh longer. As soon as you open the original container, you let the air in. And now your food will start to deteriorate. So if you only use a small portion of what's in the jar or can, and then replace the original lid, you're actually locking in the air that's causing your food to go bad. So, throw away that original lid and replace it with a FoodSaver Universal Lid. Now you can vacuum package what's in your original jar and preserve the fresh taste. Let me show you how. I'll be using a 4-inch universal lid to vacuum package this jar of peanuts. Now, the first thing to remember in vacuum packing in a jar or a can is make sure that you clean the rim so that there's no salt or any kind of debris or residue on it. And make sure if it's a can, there are no jagged edges. Now just place the universal lid on top of the jar or can. Now take a look at the arrow right here on the white knob. I have it across from the word vacuum and the arrow below it. That's because we're going to vacuum the air out of the jar. So when you start, always have that arrow across from the word vacuum. Next, take the vacuum hose and attach it to the vacuum port on your FoodSaver. Press down and give it a little turn so that it fits snugly. Do the same with the other end, right here into the universal lid. Now, to take the air out, we have to lock down the FoodSaver lid the same way we would if we were going to do a FoodSaver bag. So press down on the lid and push in the bottom of the locks. Now you can vacuum pack it. Press the on button and hold it down. The machine will automatically vacuum out the air. Now, if it's not vacuuming out the air, just press down gently you'll hear the pump engage and start to vacuum out the air. When all the air is out, it'll shut off automatically. Remove the vacuum hose from the universal lid and from the FoodSaver, especially if you're going to use FoodSaver bags next. Now to complete the process, turn the arrow from the word vacuum to the word closed. That's vacuum packed. Now you can put this into your pantry. If the food is perishable, like this pasta sauce, remember to store the jar in the refrigerator. Now to open the universal lid, turn the knob from the word closed, past the word vacuum to the word open. Now listen. It's vacuum packed. You can now remove the lid. The FoodSaver universal lids work best on containers with a diameter greater than 2 inches. Otherwise, the universal lid can easily be knocked off, even though it's been vacuum packaged. So handle with care, and don't ever lift the jar by grabbing the universal lid. And if you want to use the universal lids with cans other than coffee cans, and don't plan on using the food within a day or two, transfer the food to a FoodSaver vacuum canister. That way you'll prevent the off flavor that cans transfer to food. FoodSaver universal lids should be hand washed using a mild dishwashing soap and warm water, but dry them thoroughly before reusing. Another accessory is the FoodSaver Jar Sealer. If you want to vacuum package in mason jars, you'll need to use a jar sealer. Mason jars are readily available at supermarkets and hardware stores, or you may already have mason jars in your home. They're perfect for pantry staples like rice, beans, flour, or brown sugar, or for your homemade gifts of candy or cookies. The FoodSaver Jar Sealers come in 2 sizes, wide mouth and regular. The wide mouth jar sealer is used to vacuum package wide mouth mason jars, and the regular jar sealer is used with regular mason jars. Let me show you how you can use a FoodSaver Jar Sealer to vacuum package in mason jars. I'm going to demonstrate with brown sugar because vacuum packaging is a wonderful way to keep brown sugar moist. I have a wide mouth mason jar, so I'll be using a wide mouth jar sealer. Now remember, when you're vacuum packaging inside of a mason jar, always leave at least 1 inch of space at the top of the jar. No matter what you're filling it with, always leave at least 1 inch of space at the top. Make sure that the rim is clean, that I don't have any sugar or any water or oil on the rim. Also check the dome lid to make sure that it is also clean and dry. Now you will not need a screw band section of the mason jar lid when you're vacuum packaging. Before you start, you need to soften the rubber underneath the metal lid. To do this, bring a pot of water to boil and then turn off the heat. Put the lids in the water and let them soak for 5 or 10 minutes. You'll find these instructions in your user manual. Also, make sure that it's not bent or crimped like this one. You see that? That lid won't work, it won't hold the vacuum. So use a new lid if at all possible. Now just take the lid and place it on top of the jar. Take the wide mouth jar sealer and just press it down slowly until it seats itself down on the jar. Take the vacuum hose, take one end and put it into the vacuum port on your machine, press down and turn so it fits snugly. Take the other end, put it into the hole on the jar sealer, press down and turn until it fits snugly. Now to vacuum out the air of the mason jar, we have to lock the FoodSaver lid, just as though you were vacuum packing a FoodSaver bag. To do that, press down on the lid, push in the bottom of the locks. Now you can turn the machine on. Press the on button and hold it. The FoodSaver automatically pumps the air out of the jar, just like we were pumping the air out of the bag. As soon as all the air is out of the jar, it shuts off. Remove the hose from the jar sealer and from your FoodSaver, especially if you're going to be vacuum packing with bags next. Gently remove the jar sealer. That's vacuum packed. You can tell because you can't take off the lid. Now you can store the brown sugar in your pantry. If you were vacuum packing something like tomato sauce, remember to store this in the refrigerator. Now, to remove the mason jar lid, take the handle of a spoon and just wedge it between the glass rim and the lid. Can you see that? And twist gently. Did you hear it release the vacuum? See, if you do this gently, you won't bend or damage the lid, and you'll be able to reuse it over and over again. But before reusing the lid, always check that it's still perfectly flat. If it's even slightly warped or bent, you won't be able to vacuum. Now, to avoid accidents, never use a knife to remove the mason jar lid. And don't use a bottle opener because it will bend the lid and you won't be able to reuse that lid again. To clean your FoodSaver jar sealers, just hand wash them using a mild dishwashing soap and warm water and dry them thoroughly before reusing. Now, don't be confused. You can vacuum package in mason jars with your FoodSaver, but you cannot use a FoodSaver for canning. Vacuum packaging is not the same thing as canning. Although it removes the air, vacuum packaging doesn't heat the foods. So perishable foods like this pasta sauce that have been vacuum packaged still need to be put in the refrigerator or the freezer. By now, I'm sure you can't wait to start vacuum packaging. I recommend that you always keep your FoodSaver on your countertop. That way it'll be ready for you to use every day. Of course, there wasn't enough time in this video to show you all the FoodSaver vacuum packaging accessories, but in the box with your FoodSaver, you'll find a catalog of all the accessories available. And you can order any of the FoodSaver accessories by calling the toll-free number on your screen or visiting our website at foodsaver.com. I hope you enjoy vacuum packaging with your FoodSaver.